All right, no bull. What would you do if you had a son? How would you raise that kid to prevent him from becoming a school shooter?
Oh,
Specifically that.
And make him have a lot of friends.
So that's a component. Most school shooters are like loners. Yeah, loners. They're weird. Okay.
honestly, I feel like the through line I see with school shooters is that they're just absent parents. That's like the number one. I just think a lot of the times these kids are left to their own devices.
Other than that recent one where the mom with all the tatted face, how she like helped her kid do the school shooting.
Outlier.
But once again, that's I think the same thing, but just on the opposite end of the
This is
spectrum.
bad parenting.
Yeah, bro.
How would you help a kid have more friends? How do you do that?
Just go outside. Get outside. Get off the video games. Get your outside. Don't come back till dinner time.
But if you guys remember the OG school shooters when we were in high school was the fucking trenchcoat mafia. They were friends. Yeah. They found like-minded people that wanted to blast together.
But then they were like,
as long as they do it with their friends.
I guess labeled were also gamers though, and they blamed the games. Remember?
Oh my god, so stupid.
But then remember how like it was relative in like a school of like 3,000 people. Their group was bullied.
Their whole group?
That's how it was. That they were like the weirdos. So
they weren't the cool kids.
No, not at all. No. They were like actually like weird in the same way that a lone guy would be the weird guy in his class. They were like the
alone together
clique.
Yeah.
Out of like all these people that were.
That's what I'm saying. The friendship stuff doesn't help because they might find like-minded losers and go shoot up together.
Maybe it doesn't help even more now that like everything will adjust to your algo of how you are.
So then you're just gonna meet 1,000 other shooters?
Somebody, remember, it's like meeting somebody who spins you up, right? Like, you're like, oh yeah, I agree, you just bouncing off each other like that? Oof. Yeah. They'll be like, and you guys are like, we like the Matrix, it's just like the Matrix all the time, apparently?
Like, you got the guns, I got the ammo, he has the bulletproof vest. Yeah, that's maybe
you know what the common denominator is that nobody talks about? They're all on antidepressants.
That's a big one.
That's a fact.
Is that a big fact?
Almost on ecstasy earlier.
Hey, I'll ask you guys this. Do you guys know anybody who's been on antidepressants since they were a kid and they're adults now?
I don't. What happens with them?
Well, I was gonna ask, like, if you guys see any through lines. Like, I know a couple, and I feel like they're a little, I want to say unstable. It's not fair to say because it's a blanket statement, but sometimes they're not well adjusted to, I think.
Yeah, I only know like Adderall users.
Yeah, Adderall's not antidepressant though.
They're usually just off the fucking wall, and I'm like
unstable though. Like they're a little like they're kind of.
That sounds to me like
perception of life is like a little like, oh man, that's actually really interesting to think that. Yeah. I'm always asking more questions like, why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Just because it is so like out of left field. It's like a point of view I've never really heard before. But it's really interesting.
I think the only person that like we really know that had to take antidepressants a lot ended up like
not so good.
Since they were kids and continue to do it for like 10 plus years.
I didn't know anybody since they were kids. I've never known any kids taking it.
Yeah. So when I was in middle school, there was a kid. I think I've talked about this.
I don't think it's good.
Before. There's a kid who it was just after all the school shootings and stuff like that, and he kept on saying he wanted to shoot the school up. Like get an Uzi and shoot the school up, and I was like, ah, shit. Am I gonna be that guy on the news who's like, we had no idea? You know what I mean? So I was
I knew the whole time.
So I went to the principal's office. I narked on him.
I'm a rat motherfucker.
Totally narked on him. Yeah.
That's sick, dude. You saved your fucking school though.
Maybe, but yeah, I narked on him. I had to. I was like, I don't know, whatever grade. When you're in like 6th grade, 7th grade.
Yeah, you're like 11 or 12.
Dude, that's a big deal, dude.
What if the principal's like, well, good news, Steve. He's not gonna shoot the school. Just one student now.
Yeah, he just wants to kill you.
Here, Steve, you stop him.
You saved the school.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because I remember it was a big deal at the time. Or so I thought, and then he ended up like changing schools.
Okay.
Damn, that's it.
Do you remember his name?
I do, but I'm not gonna say.
Can we just Google it? Can you text it to us so we can Google it? See if
you have the computer.
Later.
Yeah, just text it right now. I really want to know right now. I really want to know, please.
Later.
No. All right.
Dude, that's crazy that you actually foiled a school shooter.
I don't know, but come on.
He might have actually enhanced that guy's want and need.
Kid was talking shit, and maybe, who knows, or was he actually talking about something he wanted to do? I have no idea.
That's not really a common joke I've ever heard anyone make.
We knew this kid.
That's what I thought.
In my middle school, who got kicked out of school because he said he wrote in his notebook how he wanted to kill this girl that he was in love with.
Wow.
And then he got kicked out. And we all knew, and since we knew him, he was always a little fucking, a little off his rocker.
I think so. Like that attitude of like this guy's being weird and doing weird shit.
Yeah.
He needs to be out. Is the thing we've lost societally. I think
Everybody's too afraid to like.
everyone's afraid. Yeah, they don't want to be prejudiced. They don't want to like.
You want to push him over the edge.
They don't want to bully him. But it's like no, that's who you need to bully out of society.
But I think that what people get mistaken is like that's a boundary. That's like something that you have to. It's a consequence for their actions. Like, and I feel like if we don't instill that in kids and people more often, they're gonna just be left to their own devices and just kind of do whatever they want.
You think there's more school shooters now because we're soft? Because I thought that there's more school shooters because they're neglected and abused.
Yeah, I think
I think it's all the above.
latchkey kids plus antidepressants
Yeah,
equals
so
school
they,
shooter.
they're just off their rockers because they're just like medicated all fucking day. They don't come from a good home. Like, I don't know any of these kids. The backstory is they came from a great home and I don't know what happened. Like, it's the parents say that, but then you actually look into the situation and they went through some fucked up shit.
yeah.
What are other common denominators that aren't like as clear? Like, for example, did any of the school shooters in the last like fucking 10 years or whatever, do they take like martial arts as kids?
I guarantee you they didn't.
I think another one is severe neglect.
Guarantee you they didn't, bro.
Another one's severe neglect. Like, it's like,
Because I just remember getting my ass beat, and like I think that changed the way I understood people.
Bro, that changes everything for kids, especially when they're
Yeah,
young. Like, we see it
yeah.
happen all the time in our kids' class, bro. Like,
When
I
you-
would, you know.
When you write a letter telling everybody why you did something so horrendous and crazy, it's because nobody's listening to you, and you need to be heard by somebody eventually, and so you do this crazy act so people will listen to you.
But then there's also kids who just be saying dumb shit all the time that no one listens to them.
Yeah.
Like there's some mumbly ass like kids that I grew up with that just don't stop saying shit that you're like doesn't make sense.
but I don't think they're actually the school shooter type, right? I think like if you're just doing the basics, like you're an involved parent.
That's
And
the
then
main thing.
It's
I
like
think, yeah.
they're not going to be school shooters. School shooters are there because they've been completely neglected throughout their whole entire life. No one's involved. No one's there for them. They don't know how to have normal social skills. So then what ends up happening is they don't have friends because their parents don't even teach them that path.
But like you gotta imagine like let's say the moment that you decide to do a school shooting, you're probably that's like let's say it's level 10, right?
Like you're already like breaking point.
That means that all these levels the parents were oblivious.
Failing.
And that's
Yeah.
where the failure to me is. It's like if I probably wouldn't been able to hide a gun my whole life when I lived in my parents' house. They would find it.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean by like it starts with severe neglect
Exactly,
because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no interaction with the parents. There's no attention. They don't know what's going on at all.
Sorry, ignorant question. Like, where do school shooters like get their guns? Are they getting like their parents' guns? Like,
His
A
parents
lot of
guns,
times
yeah.
it's their parents.
Or
get
they
out of
steal
there.
it from an uncle or some shit.
So it's like a family member for sure, where they get it from.
probably have to have really, really good gun rules at home.
Think about being that age.
Start with that.
Yeah, your home's probably really
But
messed
then
up.
again, you know, there's some gun owners out there who are just not responsible,
Well, like,
and it's a reflection of who they are as people. You know, like if you're not responsible with locking your guns up, I wouldn't expect you to have, you know, a good head on your shoulders, kind of, right? Like you're just kind of a dumbass, probably.
You know what's always an interesting one to think about? The Virginia Tech shooter.
Yeah, but once again, I think he was a parachute kid, wasn't he? Like his parents weren't there with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was either adopted or just not.
Parents were overseas.
Yeah.
That's a university, right? It's a college.
Yeah. And so it's like you get thrown to an American college in Virginia.
And how did this guy get guns? Because he wasn't.
He was like armed to the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
how
know
did he
got
get it?
But he wasn't like of legal age to buy them.
He wasn't?
I don't think so.
Because don't you have to be? What is it?
Well, I don't know because he was in college, so you could buy rifles at 18.
But he had like double handguns.
Maybe
and
it's
all that
different
stuff.
in
Yeah.
Virginia though.
Yeah, you never know.
Different, yeah.
But that's always the interesting one because everyone always accuses them of being white or black or something else. But then this dude was a straight up Ni hao ma.
13 colonies, bro.
I think he's Korean.
Oh, he's Korean?
He was straight up Ni hao ma. Oh my god.
Seung Hui Cho was able to legally purchase firearms despite being found mentally ill and ordered to treatment.
There you go.
Whoa.
They just sold it to him
the common
regardless.
denominator. The common
Mental
denominator is mental illness.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost
He was
all of us
not
have guns.
institutionalized. He was legally allowed to purchase the weapons he used in the shooting.
So he has like I think he holds the record of fatalities. He
30?
killed 32 people.
Yeah.
See, when you get an Asian to do it, they want an A+ everything.
2007.
Yeah,
Virginia Tech.
He optimized it.
I was thinking about a Simpsons joke.
Wait, what did you say?
Whenever there's an Asian doing something, they want an A+ everything and then be the top score guy. Yep. That's why he's all these fucking white kids. They just wound people. Fuck, I'm gonna get some confirmed hits.
Oh.
Yeah, this kid was nuts, dude.
Yeah, but then he's still overshadowed by like so many. Sandy Hook, Columbine, everything.
But then, like, this fool, like, look at these, like, photos they had of him, like, prior. Like, if you're taking fucking Joe Jitsukawa photos, then for sure you need to be like...
Him double pistols, bro.
Sick,
Yeah.
He looks like he used to play a lot of Counter-Strike.
He had a manifesto and all that too.
I guess it's, like, easy to say in retrospect that how you could have caught these guys so fucking easily. But then, not having friends, nobody knows these things are happening because there's no friends there. There's nobody like Steve to tell on you. There's nothing, like, happening where they're not being caught.
You gotta be a narc.
So like we were saying, like levels up. Like there's all these stages they got away with it, and then when the snap point hits.
Well, even being a parachute kid, it's like that means his parents aren't around. Maybe you just gotta be around.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro.
That's the
That's a big deal.
But then something was probably just like I don't know. Maybe like it's prejudice for me to believe that some people just have a defective brain because. What about all the other parachute kids that become fucking surgeons? You know what I mean? And they're fine. Like,
Wasn't it about a girl too, or something like that? I was just thinking about a girl.
That's why he shot up the school?
if whether it was about anything, the capability to be able to think like this definitely isn't something that you can just be pushed into. I just think most people don't get pushed into doing something that.
God have the prerequisites.
Yeah, maybe there's just something different about how he's like made here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's true.
You can see his eyes, bro. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see it in some people in pictures. You're like, oh, you're.
I think some people
you're
like
God.
it's like being a fucking like I don't know an X-Men where like you have the potential like in your genetics to like do these things, but then some people it never unlocks, and other people it's like
After a stressful experience, your mutation blossoms.
yeah.
That's true because some people are self-destructive when they're sad, and other
Yeah.
people are like external with their
Bro, if
destruction.
you could kill 10 people in a college, and then you're like, I got 22 more. You're a sociopath.
Yeah, when you gotta reload.
Putting
Yeah,
myself in
bro.
that headspace, right? Like when I moved from Virginia to San Diego, I remember being like, I hate all these people because I hate that this happened to me. And when I got to the school, I remember because I was so isolated from them, I used to just walk in a perimeter around the school. By the way, it was so weird because they have bars around the schools, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yes.
Because in Virginia they didn't have that. And then
California schools look like prisons,
they
though.
do. And I was like, I'm in a prison or whatever. And you just like, I was like, I hate all of these people because they aren't nobody, because it was the middle of school year. So like they already have their friends. And so I just remember being like, I hate them all. I don't want to even be here, all that stuff. So I think when you're isolated, you can just completely classify and categorize everybody as like bad.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been accepted yet. But when you do finally get friends and get accepted, you just ease up a little bit and chill.
You realize you're tripping.
Yeah, exactly. But,
I was.
but I had to make my
time
first
in my life.
I had to make my first like 2 friends for me to be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm being silly. But I don't think these people have that ever happen to them.
When I was a kid, I said, when there's some people I did not like, I would just fantasize about like trying to kill them in my head. I never did it. I never fucking did it, but I thought about that in my head. No, 100%. Like when you're a kid, you're like, I want to kill my mom.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's true. There's plenty of people that like literally have almost.
You have those. You play it out in your head.
They have recreational obsessions with murder and all that stuff, but they would never do it. That's like.
I also
Because you
remember-
know you're like, well, that's crazy.
I remember being at assemblies and like, you know, you're like 9 years old or whatever, and you're like, what if this assembly got taken over by terrorists right now?
Yeah.
Like I could probably stop them. But it's so dumb because and you're like, and then the girls would think the girl that I like would see me stop it.
You're
and be like,
running
what
through
a
those
hero.
scenarios all day.
It's so sick, dude. Right?
Yeah.
And but then
They point the gun, you grab the barrel of the gun.
oh, dude, but when you think back, it's just like some 9-year-old kid walking up to a terrace and getting smoked,
Three Ninjas is not an accurate depiction.
trying to sweep his leg real quick and just boom, boom, boom. Like no shot,
9-year-old.
no shot.
Trying to punch him in the gut.
Grabbing the barrel like this. Ah! And then you're like, wow, fuck.
He just throws it.
Yeah,
That's
no
why,
shot.
like there's a certain part that like I don't know if it's like exactly true. I would have to look this up, but something tells me that a lot of these people that have this capability are not exactly articulate with their words because they don't get as much practice talking to people. So then I think like the signs that someone could be this aren't very verbal. Like you're not going to see too many pre-manifestos. It's going to be the guy that incoherently talks. I think, where you just like don't know what the fuck he's going to do. You know what I mean?
Kind
Kind
of
of
you
like.
gotta try to talk to those people, I think.
But dude, have you?
But that's the part that makes it like a loop. It's like they need to talk to someone, but they can't because their social skills are stunted.
And they're usually not likable. That's why
That's the thing. Yeah.
they probably say some shit that's like, what the fuck? And then you get bullied for it, and it's like, it's all a lot of the times I think it's like self-inflicted. They don't even know because they don't
Yeah.
have good social skills.
Exactly. That's the loop that they're in, and it becomes like almost like a dismal fucking like vortex of like,
they can't see a way
I
out.
need to talk to people. I can't talk to anyone. No one wants to talk to me. No one likes me. I'm unlikable. And then it's just like, how do you fix that?
There was that one incel in Santa Barbara where he started shooting at girls, remember? And then everyone's like, well, he wasn't a bad-looking dude. It was just his mentality that was so creepy and weird.
His manifesto was weird.
Yeah, he killed like 6 girls or something like that, right?
But it's usually, that's why I'm like, a lot of the times it's like these guys are doing it to themselves and then they blame society, but it's like, you guys were probably dicks.
They're isolated.
Yeah.
It's like the guy that goes, well, women just like assholes. They don't like nice guys like me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a nice guy.
Yeah, you're probably a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
It's like they have no self-awareness, they have no social skills, so it's like a cycle of them being dicks to people, and people are like, I don't like this person.
Exactly.
Also,
yeah.
too, you know, if you listen to victims of school shootings that I've heard, they always say the same thing. It's like when they were actually shooting people, it's like they weren't even there. It's like they're just something else is happening.
It's lights out.
right. Right.
Like they think they're just NPCs and they're shooting.
Or like they're medicated or whatever it is, but they're like
No
not
one's
there.
home, dude.
Exactly.
No one's fucking home. There's nothing behind those eyes,
Like
bro.
Nick was saying about the picture.
There's nothing behind those eyes.
That's why I like your thing of like just at an early age,
Knocking them out.
you force them to learn their own methods of how to socialize, but without like, you know, those parents that try to like assist the socialization too much, and then those kids end up extra weird.
Call them. Let's do a play date. And
I like the idea of like, no, get out there, you do it, you do it, you be the guy, you do it, and then eventually you have to learn.
One thing Jordan Peterson said that was like super stuck with me is about like, well, I'm starting to think about kids because we're all at that age, right? And they're like the number one most important skill you can instill in them is get them to learn how to be likable. Because when you're likable, people want to work with you, they want to hook you up. Like there's like a whole wealth of like networking that comes with just being a likable person. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. But if the parents are already assholes and like not likable, how are they gonna instill that to kids if they
be
just
like you?
stupid?
Yeah, they're just gonna copy.
But that's like, I was like, damn, that is true because some people think, oh, I just want my kid to be smart. I want my kid to be like skilled. And I'm like, yeah, but then how many of us know that really smart motherfucker that I'm like, I don't want to work with them because he's a fucking
No,
dick.
yeah, of course.
And I'm like, but how many of us would be like, oh, that's the personality hire. Like they're retarded, but I love this person. You know? And then it's like, I want them around.
Yeah.
Be a personality hire.
That is a really hard thing to teach a kid when you're not there.
Well, that just means if you're not a good person, don't have a kid, right?
Yeah, but that, you know that's not gonna happen.
but that ain't gonna
But it's usually not the good person's having
There
kids.
would be a world where they teach this in school, where they teach kids how to socialize with each other, and they teach like these actual.
Also, those teachers have that problem themselves.
They're all socially stupid.
Sometimes, I mean, when you think back to your teachers, if you had to put them all in the graph, how many of them had that quality?
The substitutes.
Less than 50%, right?
Dude, remember Idiocracy? That was made off of like the statistic that people with higher IQs tend to not have as many kids.
Yeah, which is true.
So eventually the dummies outnumber the smarties, and then we're all oofy doofies.
Yeah, that's like saying the people who are the richest should have the most kids, but that's not the case either.
Exactly.
It's always the ones with the most baby daddies that have the most.
I mean, Huntington Park was the leading, what was it, like teen pregnancy in America?
Jesus.
For years. Huntington Park.
Damn. Let's go.
on top, baby.
On the map.
It's not teens in the Hamptons. It's not teens in.
They can afford abortions,
Oh,
and they can go to college after. Because their parents are like, "Oh, you can't have a baby; it's gonna ruin your life. Let's get an abortion and you go to college. And you don't have to think about this anymore."
Yeah, I mean, what is it like? Like, it's a harsh truth that most, what was it, like a large number of births come from irresponsibility, not necessarily like planning. You know.
No, absolutely. Because I know a lot of rich parents who just throw money at their kids, and then their kids get all fucked up too. Because they're just like, my parents don't really love me that much. Nah, it'll probably fuck you up.
Please God.
At a certain age, we're too old now.
Yeah. I'm glad.
If our parents threw money at us now, we'd be aight. But if we were 18 and our parents were just throwing money at us, we'd be probably pieces of shit, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever
We are
happened.
a piece of shit.
Whatever happened in my brain to like arrive at how ridiculous the thought would be to like shoot up a school. I don't know how that happened, but it was there. And the thought of me doing it was like a preposterous idea.
You think
You're
about
like,
it.
just because I could doesn't mean I should.
Yeah, I just never. I always thought it was a stupid thing to do. I'm like,
Ryan's looking at everybody who's doing it, and it's like, I would have done it like this, you idiot.
Your KD sucks.
But kind of though, like when you're thinking in your head by yourself, you are kind of thinking that, like, what's the most optimal way?
I had similar thoughts.
yeah, but then you wouldn't actually
Allegedly.
do it.
But to be fair though, when I'm driving, I think about like, dude, what if I just like the Bill Burr bit where he just goes like, I could just do this and just drive right off the ramp. Like I think about that all the time. Like, what would my car look like if I did that? I play it out in my head all the time. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's normal to just think of stuff. It's not normal to do things without thinking.
Yeah, that's called intrusive thoughts. I have
Being
a
a
lot of intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
It's mostly intrusive thoughts.
I'm having one right now
What is it?
in the video.